Right after my bonding ceremony with Alpha Carlo, his first love, Olivia, died unexpectedly. For 50 years after that, I gave everything I had for Carlo and the Shadow Moon Pack. We had 5 pups and the pack thrived. But then, on the 50th anniversary of me becoming Luna, Carlo dragged me to the moonlit platform. He was going to break our mate bond himself. And after he brutally severed it, he drained all my soul power. He said he was going to use an ancient ritual to bring Olivia back to life. And I, the Luna who'd been by his side for half a century, was the perfect vessel. My desperate cries brought our children running, but they just stood behind Carlo watching me with cold eyes. Bringing Aunt Olivia back is the only thing Father has wanted for years, one said. If you hadn't been jealous of Aunt Olivia, if you'd used your healing on her, you wouldn't be our mother. Another spat. The children I'd poured my heart and soul into raising now just wanted me to die. I felt my soul shatter, my heart ache as if pierced by a knife, and then nothing. I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day of my bonding ceremony with Carlo. In my last life, Carlo chose me, his head healer. Olivia, though, was devoured by a venom fang spider and died from its poison. Her death had nothing to do with me, but Carlo blamed me for all of it. This time, looking into Carlo's eyes, I saw the deep disgust there, and any hope I had left died. He was back too. I was mated to Alpha, Carlo, for 50 damn years. However, he killed me cruelly with all of our kids, just to revive his dead first love. After this horrible, tearing pain, I found myself back 50 years, right on that goddamn mating ceremony day. I, Rosa, refused to forge a soul link with Alpha Carlo. My hand trembled as I took off the ornate headdress, the symbol of a Luna's honor, and announced it to everyone. I willingly give up my claim to be Luna. Carlo was standing right in front of me. The look he gave me wasn't full of adoration like at the last ceremony. Instead, it was pure, cold hostility. Rosa has made a sensible choice. In that case, the ceremony is paused, Carlo said, his tone shifting to relief. He almost couldn't wait to scan the crowd, as if searching for someone. Suddenly, he turned and walked off the ceremonial platform, heading towards the edge of the forest. My heart sank. Carlo! Elder Torvin called after him. The ceremony isn't over. But Carlo didn't even pretend to hear. I knew who he was going to find. Olivia, the first love Carlo had tragically lost in our previous life. A few moments later, Carlo walked back, hand in hand with Olivia. Olivia's eyes were red-rimmed, like she'd just been crying her heart out over my bonding with Carlo. I saw Carlo whisper something to her, gently wiping a tear from the corner of her eye. That familiar, intimate gesture made my heart ache all over again. Rosa! Carlo's mother, Arya, took my hand, her voice laced with worry. What's wrong? You and Carlo grew up together. Everyone knows you two were fated. I managed a bitter smile. Before I could answer, Carlo led Olivia to the center of the crowd. Since Rosa has given up her chance to be Luna, I officially announce Olivia as the Luna-to-be for the Silver Moon Pack. We will hold the bonding ceremony at the next full moon. Olivia snuggled shyly against him, seemingly overwhelmed by this sudden turn of good fortune. Carlo, can I really? But Rosa, she looked up at me. Of course. No one is more qualified than you, Carlo said softly, pulling her into an embrace. But when he looked at me, his eyes were full of contempt. The one who truly isn't worthy has clearly learned her place and backed out. That look in his eyes, it was the same one he'd given me in my past life, right before he killed me. 50 long years of devotion, and all I got was everyone's hatred and a brutal death at the hands of my own mate. The thought sent a sharp pain, like a needle, through my heart. Elder Torvin stepped forward, his face grim. Carlo, even though Rosa has renounced her claim as Luna, the traditions of the Silver Moon Pack can't just be tossed aside like this. At the very least, the Council of Elders needs to discuss. Traditions? Carlo cut him off. It's time to change those outdated rules. Besides, he added, since Rosa won't be the Pax Luna, she's not fit to be head healer anymore either. I earned my position as head healer through skill. My voice shook. It has nothing to do with being Luna. Rosa's recent actions have been questionable, Carlo said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. Last week, Liam's wound scarred after she treated it. Is that the work of a head healer? Liam was scratched by a ghoul wolf. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. Those kinds of wounds always scar. It's written in any basic healing manual. Excuses. Carlo sneered. I'll formally request a review of your qualifications at the Elders' Council. He turned to Olivia, his voice suddenly gentle. Everyone knows Olivia's talent with herbs. Perhaps it's time for a new head healer. I'll do my best, Olivia said sweetly, clinging to his arm. You can't even master basic healing spells, and you want to be head healer. I scoffed. Have you forgotten the time you mixed up the herb ratios and poisoned 3 pack members? Carlo's eyes turned icy. Watch your tone, Rosa. I suggest you move out of the healer's den. It should belong to the head healer. Carlo. Arya cried out, shocked. Rosa's healing talent is a gift from the moon goddess. How can you? Mother, please stay out of this, he cut her off coldly. Since Rosa refused to bond with me, she'll have to face the consequences. With that, Carlo, without any warning, led everyone into my healing cave. Olivia's eyes greedily scanned my collection. So this is where the ancestral healing knowledge is kept. Since you've given up your position as Luna, these traditions must be passed on to the new candidate, Carlo stated. Bluntly, I brought out a few scrolls of parchment and some delicate instruments. These are the records for basic healing and rituals. Enough for everyday needs. Olivia eagerly unrolled the scrolls, her brow furrowing. But I heard there's deeper knowledge? Where are the blood moon ward and spirit fusion rituals? Ah, those, I said, feigning sudden realization. Those rituals require special bloodline gifts. Not everyone can master them. I've gathered them here. I handed her a sealed wooden box. Inside was the information I'd carefully prepared. Rituals that included crucial, yet deliberately missing steps. If she actually tried them, they would definitely backfire. Is this all of it? Olivia asked, a flash of dissatisfaction in her eyes. Yes, unless you're willing to learn the deeper rituals that demand great personal sacrifice, I said lightly, knowing she would never sacrifice herself for the pack. Carlo had been standing silently to the side, his gaze complex as he looked at me and my collection. There's one more thing, I said, walking to a small wooden chest by my bed. I took out a delicate silver chain pendant, the Moonkiss pendant. It was a pack heirloom, passed down to future Lunas. Olivia's eyes lit up immediately. She quickly snatched the pendant. Be careful with it, I couldn't help but warn. It's tied to the pack's spiritual heart, not just some trinket. I know how to handle it, she dismissed, immediately putting the pendant around her neck and admiring herself in a bronze mirror. The pendant looked out of place on her, almost like it was rejecting its new owner. Olivia gathered all the items with satisfaction, then suddenly turned to Carlo, her tone sharp. Darling, since Rosa has renounced her rights according to the old ways, she no longer has a claim to the pack's resources and protection. Does she? Carlo frowned. What are you trying to say? I think she should be stripped of the pack's blessing, Olivia said, her eyes glinting with malice. Since she chose not to be your Luna, she shouldn't continue to enjoy the pack's protection. It's tradition, isn't it? My heart plummeted. To be stripped of the pack's blessing meant complete exile. It meant I would lose everything, my home, my friends, my identity. Carlo's gaze flickered between me and Olivia. Don't you think that's what should happen, Carlo? Olivia asked sweetly, her fingers suggestively stroking his arm. Carlo's expression turned cold as he faced me. Rosa, you've given up your right to be Luna, according to ancient tradition. If that is the Alpha's will, I said, forcing myself to sound calm, fighting back the pain in my heart. Then, before sunset tomorrow, you will be formally stripped of your pack mark, Carlo announced. Prepare what you have to say, Rosa. This is your last chance. After being kicked out of the healer's cave, I figured there wasn't much difference between that and being exiled anyway. This pack, the one I dedicated my life to, had no place. For me, the next morning, I walked slowly towards the moonstone in the center of the square. The pack elders stood in a circle. Carlo and Olivia were at the forefront, her hand gripping his arm tightly, a triumphant smirk on her face. Let's begin, Elder Torvin sighed. Rosa! Carlo's voice echoed across the clearing. According to ancient tradition, as you have renounced your claim to be my Luna and have surrendered your duties as the pack's healer and ritual guardian, do you consent to the judgment of being stripped of the pack's blessing? I looked straight ahead. I accept, but I have a few things to say first. Olivia huffed in annoyance, but Carlo nodded his approval. Brothers and sisters of the Shadow Moon Pack, I said, turning to the watching pack members. I'm here to lay out what I've given, not to beg for pity, but for the truth. I pointed towards the southern forest. The year the Red Plague struck the young pups, it was my knowledge of Silverleaf that saved them, not standard pack healing. My friend, Vara, called out from the crowd, Yes, Rose has saved my 2 pups. When the Frostfang pack encroached on our southern hunting grounds, it was my ambush strategy that drove them back into Shadow Moon territory with minimal losses, I said, looking at several warriors who lowered their heads in acknowledgement. For 5 straight winters, when prey was scarce, I personally led foraging parties to find some petal herb to keep our elders alive. Old Edwin, a senior wolf, stood up, trembling. That's right. Us old bones are still here, thanks to Rosa's herbs. I took a deep breath, my voice firm. My life and soul have nourished this pack for what feels like an eternity. The pack owes me nothing. I no longer owe it anything. We're even. Silence fell over the clearing. Even Olivia had wiped the smug look off her face for a moment. Are you finished? Carlo asked coldly, but I could see a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Almost, I said, turning to him. Begin the severing ritual, Alpha. Carlo stepped forward, Olivia close behind him. According to tradition, she said, her voice syrupy sweet, you must remove all items gifted to you by the pack. I nodded, slowly unfastening the leather bracer Carlo had given me when we were young. He'd made it himself after his first successful hunt. I placed it on the moonstone. Next was the carved hunting knife at my chest, a gift from old Ronan, a warrior, after I'd successfully healed his fatal wound. The blade gleamed in the moonlight. I touched it one last time and placed it on the stone too, that Olivia's eyes greedily watched the fine knife. One by one, I removed all the items that signified pack acceptance, my torque, armbands, and belt. Finally, only a simple linen tunic and trousers remained. The wind in the clearing was biting, but I stood straight, my gaze calm. That's not enough, Olivia suddenly said. There's one last step, severing the birth bond. Uneasy murmurs rippled through the crowd. Severing the birth bond was the most brutal ritual, usually reserved for the worst traitors. It would cut a wolf's spiritual connection to their birth pack, causing immense pain. Olivia, Torvin warned, this is too much. No, it's tradition, she insisted, turning to Carlo. Isn't it, darling? A flicker of hesitation crossed Carlo's face, but he eventually nodded. If she is to be fully stripped, the entire ritual must be performed. He walked towards me and held out his hand. Kneel, he commanded. I looked into his eyes, saw the ice there, and a tiny sliver of pain he himself barely seemed to notice. I slowly knelt before the moonstone. Carlo placed his hand on my head and began to chant the ancient words. Each one burned into my soul like a brand. I felt a tearing pain spread from my heart throughout my body, as if someone was skinning me alive. I clenched my jaw, refusing to make a sound. I, Alpha Carlo, in the name of the Shadow Moon Pack, sever all your ties to this land and this pack. You are no longer one of us, no longer under our protection, no longer share our hunts. You are an outcast, a nameless one. As the last word fell, I felt an invisible force yanked from my body. The pain was so intense, I nearly blacked out, but I bit my tongue fighting pain with pain. Rise and leave this land, Carlo commanded. I stood, trembling, and looked around. My former packmates avoided my gaze. I fought back tears and declared calmly, from this day forward, everything about the Shadow Moon Pack has nothing to do with me. Go on, nameless one, Olivia said, her voice dripping with triumph. Leave Shadow Moon territory before sunset, or the patrols have the right to treat you as an intruder. I took one last look at my former home, then turned and walked towards the edge of the forest. No one followed. No one said goodbye. As the sun began to set, I finally reached the very edge of Shadow Moon territory, a barren stretch of scrubland bordering the dangerous neutral territories. Just as I was about to push through the last thicket of bushes, 3 unfamiliar werewolves blocked my path. Well, what have we here? The leader sneered, his yellow wolf eyes glinting dangerously. A nameless she-wolf all alone. Stay away from me, I warned, instinctively reaching for my hip, only to remember my hunting knife was gone. Ooh, she's a feisty one. Another wolf licked his lips, stepping closer. Heard the Shadow Moon Pack cast out a she-wolf today. That'd be you, right? Without a pack to protect you, you're fair game now. I backed away, feeling the blood pound in my veins. Even without a weapon, I wouldn't go down easy. My vision started to blur as my wolf instincts began to take over. If I had to fight, I'd make them pay. Claws tore into my shoulder, and the sharp pain made me grit my teeth. She fights hard, the yellow-eyed rogue snarled, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. That I was in my half-shifted form, claws and fangs bared. But a 3-on-1 fight was doomed from the start. Without weapons and weak from the severing ritual, every blow I landed felt like punching through water. I'm going to make you pay for that, nameless bitch, another rogue growled, advancing. The look in his eyes made my stomach churn. Suddenly, a ferocious impact sent him flying. A massive, golden-brown werewolf appeared beside me, his snarl shaking the very ground. Get lost. He growled, his voice a low thunder. The 3 rogues exchanged a look and immediately decided to retreat. They scrambled away, disappearing into the undergrowth. Shaking, I collapsed to my knees, blood pooling from my wounds. Without my pack connection, my healing abilities were dangerously slow. You're badly hurt, the golden brown wolf said, shifting back to his human form. He offered me a hand. I am Rylan, Alpha of the Sunstone Pack. I looked up into a pair of steady, kind amber eyes. He was taller than Carlo, with broad shoulders and a strong, determined set to his jaw. Rosa, I replied weakly, formerly of Shadow Moon. I know, he nodded. My scouts reported Shadow Moon cast out their healer and ritual guardian. A surprising move. I tried to stand, but swayed from blood loss. Rylan quickly steadied me. You need healing. My territory is just ahead. You can recover there if you wish. I looked at him warily. Why would you help me? Firstly, I wouldn't leave any she-wolf to die, he said, his tone firm. Secondly, I can smell it on you. You were treated unjustly. I didn't have the strength to argue. I just nodded. Rylan gently lifted me into his arms and began to run towards the Sunstone Pack's territory. Carol's Piofa. The border patrol is back, a young warrior reported to Carol. Carol sat on his stone throne, drumming his fingers impatiently on the armrest. Report. We found signs of a fight and blood at the southeastern border, Alpha. It looks like Rosa, the banished she-wolf, ran into some rogues. Carol shot to his feet. How is she? The warrior hesitated. Unclear, Alpha. We only found blood and signs of a struggle. She wasn't there. It's possible. A strange pang hit Carol. He waved a hand, cutting the warrior off. Continue patrols. Report any findings immediately. After the warrior left, Carol went to his private study. It had been 3 days since he banished Rosa, and a growing unease gnawed at him. Damn it, he muttered, pacing the room. She should have backed down. On his desk lay an ancient scroll. Olivia had been trying to decipher the healing knowledge Rosa left, without success. Yesterday, a young wolf broke his leg, and under Olivia's healing, it had actually gotten worse. Frustrated, Carol sat down and idly flipped through a small compartment in the scroll's binding. A piece of parchment slipped out. The handwriting on it made his heart jump. It was Rosa's private log. Blood Moon Night. Performed secret healing ritual. Alpha Air Carol bitten by Dreadfong Viper, venom reaching his heart. Standard healing failed. Performed forbidden blood sharing. Ritual. Success, but at great cost. My blood has purifying properties, can bond with his to fight the toxin. But my rare blood type makes me more vulnerable during the ritual. Couldn't move for 3 days, no one knew. He thinks Olivia called a healer to save him. Better he thinks that. Protecting forbidden knowledge is more important than personal credit. Carol's hands started to shake. That viper bite had happened when he was 20. He'd always believed Olivia saved him. She never denied it, often recounting the tale of how she risked everything to find a healer for him. No, this can't be, Carol mumbled. He frantically searched further. Another note fell out. Carol praised Olivia's foresight again today, said she was natural Luna material. She just stood there smiling. No one remembers who proposed the food storage plan during last year's famine. Doesn't matter. Seeing the pack through winter is enough. Carol felt dizzy. All these years, he believed Olivia was his greatest supporter and contributor. But these notes painted a completely different picture. Suddenly, the study door opened and Olivia walked in. Darling, I need your help. That blasted healing ritual failed again, and now Oren's wound is getting infected. The blood-sharing ritual, Carol said suddenly, his eyes sharp on her. Do you know it? Olivia's face paled slightly. What? Of course I know it. It's one of the advanced healing rituals. Then why didn't you use it on Oren? Because the conditions weren't right, she stammered. Carol slowly stood up. Was it you who saved me when the Dreadfong Viper bit me? Olivia's eyes darted around. Of course it was me, darling. I found the best healer. No. Carol clenched his fists, a storm of emotions raging inside him. It was Rosa. She had risked her life, used her own blood to purify his, and Olivia had just stood by and let him believe she was the hero. Get out, Carol snarled. Olivia froze. What? I said get out. Leave me alone. Olivia backed out of the study, reluctantly, leaving Carol to collapse into his chair. He had despised Rosa, believing her betrayal in their past life deserved punishment. But now he wondered if he'd been terribly, horribly wrong. Most importantly, he owed Rosa his life, and he had cast her out like a traitor. It was all wrong, he whispered. All of it. Early the next morning, Carlo was jolted awake by shouts coming from the healer's cave. She's messed it up again. That's Bloodvine, not Staunch Leaf. Carlo gritted his teeth and walked into the cave, watching Olivia fumble with the potion. Carlo, I'm trying. Rosa took all her knowledge with her. She didn't even leave any decent notes. Olivia said, looking up, her voice laced with frustration. What are you talking about? Carlo's voice started to tremble. Her notebooks are right there. 5 of them, with every treatment detailed. Rosa had only been gone 3 days, and the pack was already falling apart. Leg wounds. 2 pups were burning up with fever. This morning's moon ritual had been cut short because of mistakes in the procedure. Give it to me. Carlo snatched the herbs from Olivia, quickly doing what he remembered of Rosa's methods. It would at least ease the symptoms for now. Olivia stood by, watching Carlo awkwardly copy what Rosa used to do. You actually think you know how to do this, she sneered. Shut up, Carlo growled. He couldn't believe it, him, an alpha, doing the healer's work while his Luna was clueless. Elder Torvin, could you please help? Carlo asked the old werewolf who had assisted Rosa for years. Alpha Carlo, this old wolf doesn't have much energy left. Torvin bowed slightly, his gaze flickered. Besides, that's the Luna's job. That's enough. Olivia suddenly yelled. I am the Luna. I just need time to get used to it. You can't expect me to be as good as Rosa right away. You are not the Luna. Torvin's voice was soft, but it hit them like thunder. Not until you pass the moon goddess's trial. Things got even worse at the evening gathering. Let our Luna lead us in thanking the moon goddess for her gifts, Elder Torvin announced, as was tradition. Olivia walked to the stone platform in the center, moonlight bathing her. The moonkiss pendant on her chest should have glowed silver blue right then, resonating with the goddess's power, but the pendant stayed dark. In the name of the moon goddess, Olivia stammered. We give thanks for, she'd forgotten the words, the most basic prayer. Uneasy whispers rippled through the crowd. A newly made warrior shouted, Where's the Luna? Where did the real Luna go? Quiet, Carlo roared, but inside he was shaking too. Olivia suddenly grabbed the pendant, trying to force its power. But not only did it not respond, it made her double over in pain with a short scream. There's something wrong with this thing. She threw the pendant on the ground. Rosa must have tampered with it. The entire pack went silent. The moonkiss pendant was their most sacred relic. No one had ever dared to treat it like that. Gathering's over, Carlo announced. Ignoring the disappointed looks from his packmates, he walked alone to Rosa's old healing cave. It was a complete mess now. Herbs were piled up randomly unsorted. Carefully mixed potion bottles lay tipped over, their contents dried up. Scrolls detailing rituals were roughly handled, their edges torn. His eyes landed on a small wooden box in the corner. Opening it, he found a stone pestle, one Rosa often used to grind herbs. Holding it, he could almost feel the warmth of her hand. Bringing the pestle closer, he caught a faint trace of her scent. Morning dew, wildflowers from the moonlit valley, and the smell of home. He suddenly remembered her preparing the moon festival feast for the first time. Remembered how carefully and gently she prepared for every ritual. Remembered her quietly supporting him every single day, always walking just a step behind. Doing in here? Olivia stood at the cave entrance, her eyes sharp. There's blood on her pestle, he said, staring at the tool in his hand. Do you know why? Who knows what kind of dark magic she was into? Olivia scoffed. Looks like you're actually starting to miss that woman, huh? Don't call her that. Carlo's voice was low. She has a name. Oh, my alpha suddenly cares about his ex, she said sharply. Don't forget who betrayed you, who made you lose. Enough. Carlo cut her off. What have you actually done these past 3 days? Healing, rituals, keeping things running. What haven't you messed up? Olivia froze. I just became Luna, and you're treating me like this because of your ex. Don't you forget you chose me. Get out. All of you, get out of my way. Carlo roared, shoving pack members aside as he stormed into his private den. The chaos of the last 3 days had worn him out. Olivia's incompetence was glaring, and the pack's simmering discontent was spreading like wildfire. That morning, a pup she'd treated was still feverish, almost didn't make it. Why is this happening? Carlo whispered, slamming his fist against the stone wall. The pain of his knuckles cracking actually cleared his head a bit. Rosa would never have made a mistake like that. He rummaged through a chest, looking for any healing notes he might have missed. At the bottom, there was a small, hidden compartment he'd never noticed. Inside lay a small, worn, leather-bound booklet. He opened the first page. Rosa's neat handwriting met his eyes. Forbidden rituals, personal notes, do not read. Carlo frowned, flipping through it quickly. Every page detailed complex rituals, with an almost insane level of detail, alongside her notes on her own experiences and the pain she endured. The contents were horrifying. When he reached the page marked Soul Link Sacrifice, his hand started to shake. The date, it was from 10 years ago, when he'd been fatally wounded, on the brink of death. Alpha's injuries cannot be healed by conventional means. The curse runs too deep into his soul. The only way is a soul link sacrifice. First attempt, failed. Pain beyond what I can bear. Blood seeping from my eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. Third attempt, partial success. Connection established. But my life force is draining rapidly. Seventh attempt, success. Carlo's wounds are beginning to heal. The curse is being drawn into my body. It will take an estimated 3 years to purify it. No one else knows of this, including Carlo. Tucked behind the entry was a lock of dried, blood-caked hair. Carlo's stomach churned, and he nearly threw up. Those 7 days, everyone thought he was going to die. Then a miracle happened. He made a full recovery. And Rosa, she had endured agony for 3 whole years. She'd never said a word. And Olivia had even dared to take credit for this, claiming she was the one who saved him. He stormed towards the main cave with a notebook, finding Olivia directing a few young wolves to move Rosa's herbrax. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded, his voice colder than he'd ever heard it. "These weeds are taking up space. I need more room," she said without looking up. Carlo slammed the notebook down in front of her. "Explain this." Olivia picked up the booklet, her face instantly changing. She tried to look calm. "What's this nonsense supposed to prove?" "The soul link sacrifice," Carlo said, each word heavy. "You told me you saved me after I was so badly injured." She took a step back, her eyes darting around. "I did help." "Liar!" Carlo roared. "Rosa nearly died doing that. And you dared to take her credit? Why would you believe some beat-up old diary?" Olivia shrieked. She could have made it all up. "There's blood-matted hair in here." Carlo held up the dried lock. "I can feel the traces of the curse on it. This can't be faked." Elder Torvin approached, took the lock of hair, and closed his eyes to sense it. His face changed drastically. Indeed, a very strong remnant of a curse. It has been purified. This would have required an unimaginable sacrifice. Olivia was ashen. She chose to do something like that. What's it got to do with me? You still chose to believe me, didn't you? "Get out." Carlo's voice was dangerously low. "Get out of my territory before I change my mind and tear you apart." Olivia saw the killing intent in his eyes, turned and fled. Carlo collapsed to the ground, flipping to the last page of the notebook. It was a message to an unborn pup. "My child, if one day I am no longer here, please remember, no matter what happens, I love you more than life itself. I hope you never have to read these words." Tears blurred his vision. In his past life, he had killed her with his own hands, all to bring Olivia back. And Rosa, even after being betrayed, still loved their children. A raw, agonizing howl ripped from Carlo's throat. Shaking the entire valley, he bolted into the forest, shifting into his wolf form, and tore savagely at tree trunks until his mouth was bloody. He howled until his voice was gone, slammed himself against rock faces until his skin was raw and bleeding. When he returned to the pack, Carlo had made his decision. "Gather all trackers," he commanded. "Find Rosa, whatever it takes." "Alpha," Torvin said carefully, "we got word. Signs of a fight and a lot of blood at the border. the scent of rogue wolves and Rosa's scent. Carlo's heart plummeted into an icy abyss. How many? How many rogues? At least 6 adult males. And Torvin hesitated. That area on the way to Sunstone territory. There was more blood and drag marks. If she's dead. Carlo's voice trembled, unable to finish the sentence. Alpha, there's something else. Torvin handed him a small box. We found this at the fight scene. Carlo opened it. Inside was a small, blood-stained piece of fabric embroidered with the Luna's mark. Part of the clothes Rosa was wearing when she left. Move out now. Carlo grabbed the fabric and headed for the forest. All fighting wolves with me. If she's been killed, I'll make those rogues pay 100 times over. Rosa's POV, who is she? Why keep an exiled wolf? Keep it down. Alpha, Rylan brought her back himself. I lay in the Sunstone Pack's medical den. Weak but awake. For days had passed. My wounds were starting to heal. But the whispers around me never stopped. I don't need your pity, I told the female wolf who came in to change my dressings. Lyra, the Sunstone Pack's head healer, paused. We don't give pity to outsiders, only treatment to the injured. Then thank you for your professionalism, I said quietly. Why would the Shadow Moon Pack banish their own Luna? Lyra couldn't help asking. Even the worst Lunas are rarely stripped of their title. Because some people matter more than the truth. Our conversation was cut short by a tall figure appearing at the cave entrance. Rylan walked in, bringing the morning chill with him. You look much better today, Rosa, he said with a slight smile that I nodded in acknowledgement. Rylan's smile was warm but respectful, completely different from Carlo's domineering way. Alpha, Lyra interjected, the 3rd pup has started running a fever too. Our medicine doesn't seem to be working. Rylan's face darkened. How bad is it? In 3 days, 7 pups have been infected. Their fevers keep rising, and they're developing a rash. Lyra's voice trembled. We've never seen symptoms like this. Something clicked in my mind. Have these pups been near any blue flowers by the water recently? How did you know? Lyra asked, suddenly wary. They were playing near South Lake 2 days ago. Let me see them, I said, trying to sit up. What do you think you can do? Lyra sneered. A wolf abandoned by her own pack? Rylan cut her off. Rosa was the head healer of the Shadow Moon Pack. If she has an idea, why not try? She could kill our pups. Who knows what she's planning? Enough, Rylan growled. I'll be right there watching. Now take us to the pups. The pups were in a separate den. The smallest one was barely 3 months old, burning hot, his skin covered in purplish-red spots. I gently touched the pup's forehead, checked his symptoms carefully, then closed my eyes and took a deep sniff. This is a fever caused by bluebell toxin, I said with certainty. Look at the shape and spread of these spots. It's already in the 2nd stage. Bluebells are common in our territory. They've never caused a reaction like this, Lyra argued. This time is different, I explained. The bluebells by South Lake might have been infected by a specific fungus. Something similar happened in Shadow Moon territory once. The cure? Rylan asked directly. You need 3 herbs, silverroot, blackberry leaf, and moon petal, I said. The first 2 are common, but moon petal only grows on high mountain peaks near moonlit pools. We don't have any moon petal stored, Lyra said, her voice tight. I do. I took a small cloth pouch from around my neck. This was the only herb I brought with me when I left, just in case. Lyra looked at me, surprised. You'd endure pain just to save it? Healer's instinct, I replied calmly. 3 hours later, the potion was ready. It glowed with a strange, silver blue light. I'll try it first. I scooped up a spoonful and drank it. Everyone held their breath. Seeing I had no bad reaction, Rylan nodded, allowing me to give it to the pups. Once every 2 hours, 3 times, I instructed. The fever should break by morning. And sure enough, at dawn the next day, the first infected pup opened its eyes, fever completely gone. By noon, all the pups were back to their playful selves. It's a miracle. A mother wolf grabbed my hand, full of gratitude. Thank you for saving my child. Rosa, Ryland said after the crowd had thinned, your knowledge and courage are admirable. The Sunstone Pack welcomes you to stay. I just did what a healer should do. No, Ryland said seriously. You did far more than that. I saw you use your last bit of precious herbs to save the children of strangers. That shows true character. A warmth spread through me, but I quickly became wary. The last time I was praised like that, it ended in betrayal. Don't overthink it. As if reading my mind, Ryland added, in the Sunstone Pack, I will have your back. I felt what Ryland was hinting at in his words, but said nothing. The next day, I was heading out with some herbs to treat an injured wolf, not noticing a female wolf with a knife. Coming up behind me, a flash. A dark shape shot past me. It was Ryland. He grabbed the attacker's wrist with incredible speed, and the dagger clattered to the ground. Nina, what do you think you're doing? Ryland practically roared. The young she-wolf struggled, her eyes full of hatred. Outsiders don't belong in our pack. She'll bring bad luck. Enough, Ryland snarled, his voice carrying a fearsome authority. I bent down, picked up the dagger and sniffed the blade. Dragon's tongue toxin, enough to kill 3 adult wolves. The pack members around us gasped and stepped back. Lock her up, Ryland ordered, and a couple of warriors immediately dragged Nina away. The Sunstone Pack never disrespects a guest. Ryland turned to me, his eyes apologetic. I will deal with this seriously. You saved my life, I said, my heart still pounding. I won't let anyone hurt you. His voice was low and firm. His words sent a flicker of warmth through me, but I quickly pushed the feeling down. The lessons from the past were too painful. Come on, I'll show you the rest of the Packlands, Ryland said, as if the assassination attempt was just a minor hiccup. Ryland took me to the Sunstone Pack's most sacred place, the sunken pool. Legend says the first alpha received the sun god's blessing here, Ryland explained. The Sunstone Pack's strength comes from here, Ryland said. Every new alpha must pass the sunken pool's trial. It's a bit like the moonlit pool in the Shadow Moon Pack, I said, suddenly hurried. Footsteps came from the woods. A warrior rushed over looking tense. Alpha, alert from the border. The Grey Mountain Pack has gathered at least 30 warriors, and they're heading for our hunting grounds. Ryland's expression instantly turned serious. Gather all warriors. Move out immediately. Turning to me, he said, Rosa, you stay here and protect the elders and pups. I can help, I said, not just by treating the wounded. Ryland hesitated. This is our war. It's mine now, too, I said firmly. By the time we reached the border, the Grey Mountain Pack had already broken into our territory. They were numerous, well-equipped, and even carried torches. Ryland immediately led the warriors to meet them. Swords clashed. Wolf howls filled the air. I stood at the back, watching the battle closely. The Sunstone wolves fought bravely, but they were clearly outnumbered. The first casualties were quickly brought to me. I treated their wounds swiftly, but I knew fighting alone wouldn't win this. Closing my eyes, I felt the pulse of the earth. In my past life, I'd found a special ritual in an ancient text, one that could awaken the land's power to protect the pack. I'd never tried it, but right now I had no other choice. I took out the moon petal I carried and a few other herbs, drawing ancient symbols on the ground. I need a drop of your blood, I told the Sunstone warriors around me. They looked at me, hesitating. Trust her, a familiar voice said. It was Lyra. She was the first to cut her finger and let a drop of blood fall onto the symbols. The others followed her lead. When the seventh drop of blood fell, the symbols began to glow. I closed my eyes and started chanting the ancient words. Each word felt like it was pouring from deep within my soul, carrying a power I'd never known. The earth began to tremble. Moonlight and sunlight, bloodlines entwined, land as witness, souls resonate. My voice grew louder, my body filling with a strange energy. The air around us became incredibly heavy, and the Grey Mountain warriors started to move slower. In the name of our ancestors, by the oath of our blood, protect this land, drive out the invaders! A blinding light burst from my body, spreading outwards. The light from the symbols snaked across the battlefield like a living thing. The Grey Mountain warriors were terrified as they found themselves pinned down by an unseen force, while the Sunstone warriors felt a surge of new strength. Ryland seized the opportunity, leading his warriors in a counterattack. The battle ended quickly. The Grey Mountain pack was routed, dropping their weapons and fleeing. When the last enemy disappeared into the forest, my strength was gone. I swayed and fell, but Ryland caught me securely. "What was that power?" he asked, amazed. "An ancient bloodline ritual," I said weakly. "It needs a connection between the caster and the land." "You saved us all," Ryland said, his eyes filled with awe and something deeper. Back in the Packlands, the Sunstone Pack held a huge celebration for their victory. Around the bonfire, pack members sang and danced, praising the day's triumph. "Rosa! Rosa!" They chanted my name in unison. No more doubt, no more hostility. I felt a sense of acceptance and respect I'd never known before. Even Nina came to apologize. "I was wrong. You're not an outsider bringing bad luck. You're a guardian of the pack." Late that night, Ryland found me sitting alone by the lake. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly, sitting down beside me. "Thinking about how strange fate is," I said. "A month ago I was an exiled Luna. Today I found a place to belong in a new pack." "You always belonged here," Ryland said, his voice gentle but firm. "Maybe fate put you through hardship just to lead you to your true home." "Home!" I repeated the word softly. "I and the moonlight." Ryland's eyes shone brighter than the stars. He carefully took my hand, his touch gentle, giving me plenty of time to pull away. But I didn't. Carlo's POV. Carlo led his best trackers, following the blood trail. "Alpha, the trail stops here," one tracker reported. "But there's the scent of the Sunstone pack." Carlo sniffed the air, catching the faint scent of Rosa, fighting the urge to cross into Sunstone territory. "Go back," he finally ordered. "Send scouts to keep watching." 3 days later, a scout returned in a hurry. "Alpha, we found her," the scout reported excitedly. "Rosa's alive. She's with the Sunstone pack." Carlo's heart skipped a beat. "How? How is she?" "She looks good," the scout said, hesitating. "The Sunstone pack seems to respect her a lot. She healed their pups. Ryland and her." Carlo couldn't finish the question. "Alpha," the scout reported in a low voice, "Rosa performed some kind of powerful ritual during a border fight. She helped the Sunstone pack beat back the Grey Mountain invaders. The whole pack sees her as a hero. And..." Carlo's voice was hoarse. "She and Alpha Ryland, they're very close. After the celebration tonight, they were holding hands by the lake for a long time." Carlo closed his eyes, the pain nearly tearing him apart. Things in the Shadow Moon pack were getting worse. Since Olivia ran off, the pack had been in chaos. 3 experienced warriors were injured in last week's hunt. Food supplies were dwindling. Some pups were even getting sicker because they weren't getting proper treatment. Carlo knelt by the moonlit pool where Rosa used to lead rituals, whispering in agony, "What have I done?" "Rosa's POV, what are you thinking about?" Ryland asked, gently stroking my hair. 2 months had passed. The Sunstone pack had completely accepted me, and the feelings between Ryland and me had grown stronger every day. Thinking about things I shouldn't, I answered softly. Memories from your past life. Lessons from my past life, I said with a wry smile. Trusted too easily, got hurt too deeply. Rylan took my hand. Rosa, I'm not Carlo. His directness startled me. You never say his name, Rylan said, but I can feel his shadow still hanging over you. I thought I'd let it go. Letting go isn't the same as forgetting, Rylan said. Scars heal, but they don't disappear. I looked into his sincere eyes. There was none of Carlo's bossiness, only equality and respect. The moon will wane, the sun will set, but my heart will always be for you, Rylan said suddenly, his voice solemn. To my heart sped up. This was the ancient vow of the Sunstone Pack for declaring love. Rylan, don't rush to answer, he said, gently kissing the back of my hand. I just want you to know, whatever you choose, I'm here. On the night of the full moon, on the Sunstone Pack's mountaintop altar, the pack members formed a circle. A bonfire blazed in the center, flames licking the night sky. Rylan waited on the other side of the altar, dressed in the Alpha's traditional robes, his eyes never leaving me. The old shaman guided us to the center of the altar. He raised his hands high. Tonight, witnessed by both the sun god and the moon goddess, our Alpha Rylan will bond with Rosa as his mate. She will become our Luna. Are you sure? Rylan asked me in a low voice before the ceremony began. Once this is done, our souls will be linked forever. I've never been more sure, I smiled. The shaman made a small cut on both our wrists, letting the blood drip into a sacred chalice. He poured the mixed blood into the sunken pool. In the name of Sunstone, by the glory of our ancestors, witness the eternal bond of these two souls. I felt Rylan's soul merge with mine, warm and steady. Not domination, not possession, but an equal union. My Luna, Rylan whispered in my ear as he kissed me. My Alpha, I responded. News traveled fast. 2 days later, messengers from neighboring packs arrived one after another to congratulate us. Even more distant packs sent gifts and greetings. The Sunstone Pack has a new Luna. They say she used to be the Shadow Moon Pack's healer. She has ancient bloodline powers. I knew these rumors would eventually reach Carlo. I just didn't expect him to come so soon. Around noon, an alert came from the outposts. The Shadow Moon Alpha is at the border with 10 warriors, demanding to see the Luna. Rylan immediately stood up. Get the warriors ready. No, I took his hand. Let me see him. It's time to settle things. Rylan frowned. Are you sure? I'm sure, I said calmly, but I want you beside me. We met in the neutral zone at the border. Carlo looked awful. Dark circles under his eyes, a messy beard, his gaze filled with desperation and exhaustion. The warriors behind him didn't look much better. Tattered clothes, weary expressions. The glory of the Shadow Moon Pack was gone. Rosa, he called out, his voice hoarse. Carlo, I nodded, calm. You look different, he said. Carlo swallowed hard, his eyes falling on Rylan's and my joined hands. Pain flashed in his eyes. I found your notebook, he said suddenly. The one about the Soul Link sacrifice. My heart skipped a beat. That was a secret I never thought would be discovered. Why didn't you tell me? He demanded. You went through so much pain for me, and you never said a word. What would have been the point? I gave a bitter laugh. Would you have given up Olivia? He had no answer. Olivia's gone, he finally said. She took the pack's valuable herbs and the moon goddess amulet. The Shadow Moon Pack is falling apart. We can't survive without you. That's your problem, not mine, I said coldly. Rosa, I know I was wrong, he was almost begging now. But please, give the Shadow Moon Pack another chance. Give me a chance to make things right. Make things right. I laughed a hollow sound. You killed me with your own hands in our past life, all to bring that woman back. Your children watched me die and did nothing. And now you tell me you want to make things right. Carlo's face went white. You remember too. He fell to his knees, right there in front of everyone. Rosa, please forgive me. Please come back. Rylan squeezed my hand, giving me strength. I took a deep breath. Carlo, I forgave you a long time ago, I said calmly. But forgiveness doesn't mean going back. Everything between us ended in our past life. That love, that loyalty. You buried it yourself. Don't say that, his voice trembled. Time doesn't go backwards, Carlo. My voice was soft but firm. I've found someone who truly appreciates me, respects me. I have a new home, a new pack, a new purpose. Without you, the Shadow Moon Pack will die, he said desperately. That's fate's just decision, I said, turning my back on him. Good luck, Carlo. There's nothing left between us. 3 days later, an exhausted messenger arrived from Shadow Moon territory. Luna! He fell to his knees before me. Disaster has struck the Shadow Moon Pack. Please, you have to help us. What happened? Rylan asked. The messenger looked up, his eyes wide with terror. The Grey Mountain Pack teamed up with rogues and launched an all-out attack while we were weak. The Alpha is badly wounded and the pack is scattered. Without your help, the Shadow Moon Pack will be wiped out. I looked at Rylan, torn. This was my former pack, people I once cared for. You want to go, don't you? Rylan asked softly. Not for Carlo, I said. For the innocent pack members. Rylan nodded. Then the Sunstone Pack will go with you. We reached Shadow Moon territory. The sight before me was heartbreaking. The once thriving pack lands were devastated. Dens were destroyed, campfires were out, and the air was thick with the smell of blood and fear. Split up and search for survivors, Rylan ordered the Sunstone warriors. Around the moonlit pool lay several injured pack members. When they saw me, a flicker of surprised hope lit up their eyes. The Luna is back. We're saved. I quickly checked the injured, guiding the Sunstone healers. Where's Carlo? I asked an older warrior. The Alpha. He's in the main den. He's hurt badly. I hesitated for a moment, then turned towards the main den. Not for Carlo, but out of duty. It was dark inside the den. I lit a torch and saw Carlo lying on the ground, a deep, bone-visible wound on his chest. Rosa! He weakly opened his eyes. You really came. Don't talk. I knelt beside him, examining the wound. It was serious, but not fatal. I took the necessary herbs from my pouch and started cleaning the wound. Why, he asked softly. After everything I did, why would you still help me? I didn't come for you, I said coolly. I came for the innocent pack members. He closed his eyes, tears rolling down his face. I messed everything up. Not just this life, but the last one too. I didn't respond, focusing on the treatment. Olivia, he said suddenly. She came back. My hand paused. When? Just before the Grey Mountain Pack attacked. She was with a group of rogues. Carlo gave a bitter smile. She led the Grey Mountain Wolves from near the Forbidden Lands. She was the one who told them the Shadow Moon Pack was weak. Why would she do that? Revenge, Carlo whispered. Revenge for me banishing her, and revenge on the whole pack. She said if she couldn't be Luna, then no one should be. It was the most fitting end for that deceitful woman. Your wound is treated. I stood up. Rest for a few days. No strenuous activity. Rosa, he grabbed my wrist. Stay. Help me rebuild the pack. I'm willing to make you the only Luna. I pulled my hand away. I am already the Luna of the Sunstone Pack, Carlo. Everything from the past is dust now. Walking out of the den, I took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the sun on my face. Rylan came to meet me. We found 27 survivors, mostly elders and pups, only a few warriors. Not many left, I said softly. The Shadow Moon Pack used to have over 100. They can't survive on their own, Rylan said that I knew what he meant. A weakened pack couldn't last long in this territory, with enemies lurking all around. I have a proposal, I said, looking into his eyes. Invite the survivors to join the Sunstone Pack. Rylan raised an eyebrow. Including Carlo? That's your decision, I said. I won't plead his case, but those innocent elders and children, Rylan kissed my forehead. This is why I love you, Rosa. Even for those who hurt you, you still have compassion. In the end, 17 Shadow Moon members chose to join the Sunstone Pack. Among them were a few of my old friends and some young pups. As for Carlo, he refused the offer to join. I can't face your happiness, he told me. I'll go far away to atone on my own. A year later, the Sunstone Pack grew stronger and stronger under Rylan's and my leadership. We combined the strengths of both packs, creating new rituals and healing systems. Neighboring packs came to form alliances, visit, and learn. Luna, there's a letter for you. A young wolf handed me a letter. Who's it from? A lone traveler. Looked like he's seen hard times. He just said you'd want to know what's in it. I opened the letter. It contained only a few. Rosa, I found a new beginning in the northern lands. Thank you for your kindness. Forever remembered, forever repentant. C. I tossed the letter into the fire, watching it turn to ash. This was the final goodbye. Is everything all right? Rylan asked, hugging me from behind. Everything is perfect, I said, leaning against his chest, feeling his strong heartbeat.